Caregiving can be the greatest job in the world, and it can be the hardest job in the world. How, when you bring her attitude and her work ethic and her dedication to our clients to the table, how we as an organization go out of our way to make sure that, she's taken care of.
How can we meet the need? How can we serve people in the fourth quarter of their life? We want to serve these folks the best possible and the most efficient way we can, and obviously that's very, very important. It's what we do.
Yeah.
Come on, somebody. Good morning once again to another edition of Conversations from the Heart. My name is Glenn Leingang. I serve as the Vice President of Franchise Development here at Touching Hearts at Home. And do we have a guest for you today? Some call him the Ric Flair of franchising, okay? Some call him just a leader who gets things done. Some of us who know him call him Dan Wilson from Chester County, Pennsylvania. Come on, somebody. I got to tell you, what an honor it is to be with you, Dan. And before we get started, I think the appropriate thing to do is to start us out with something that I know you're proud of, one of your own, Janelle Beavis, Caregiver of the Year. Dan, can we share the video?
Yeah, absolutely. Hi, my name is Dan Wilson. I'm the owner of Touching Hearts at Home here in Chester County, Pennsylvania. I am so excited to announce that the winner of this year's Northeast Region Caregiver of the Year is our caregiver, Janelle Beavis.
My name is Janelle Beavis. I am 28 years old. I am originally from Jamaica, moved here 10 years ago, and I have my family here, 2 kids. So my favorite part about being a caregiver is the fact that I could be there for my clients. I could be there not just as a caregiver, but as a friend, a family. So I love that I can make them smile, I can make them feel happy that they have someone around. So I had this client, and she used to love going to the nail salon to get her nails done. She was this little doll. So I was like, how am I going to make her happy? Because since she can't go to the nail salon anymore to get her nails done, I went to the CVS out the road from where she lives, and I got some nail polish, and I went back to her apartment, and I was like, guess what? I got you some nail polish. I'm going to do your nails. She was so excited. I polished her nails, her fingers and her toes, and she showed it to everyone at dinner the day, and she was excited, and that alone made me feel like this job is really for me, because the way I make them feel and I could bring them back to where they were before, that alone just make me know that I really do make my clients happy. What I love about working with Touching Hearts at Home, I could be myself first thing. My boss is the best boss in the world because I could just be me. He's not this strict person. He's so understanding. If I call out for a shift, which rarely I don't, he understands. He doesn't just make it about him. He makes it about his caregivers also. And of course, Reva, she's always there for me in so many ways I can't explain.
Janelle won this award because she deserves it. Janelle is hardworking. She's mature beyond her years. She cares. She's a caregiver for a reason. It's natural to her. She does the best that she can for anybody, and she's a personable person, and it means a lot for people to have that. And I'm just very grateful that she got the opportunity to win this award because she definitely deserves it.
Thank you very much to all of our wonderful caregivers here at Touching Hearts at Home in Chester County, Pennsylvania. Thank you for your dedication and service to our clients.
I couldn't think of a better way to get started. We're just coming off of this about 2 weeks ago, our annual conference. But I'd like to get started, Dan. Tell me what it means to you as a leader uh, to see Janelle win that award, Caregiver of the Year. I mean, just go ahead. I'd love to hear it from you.
Janelle's just a really special person. She's been with us now coming up on 12 months. And from day one, she just really hit the ground running. That little bubbly personality that you get from her and that thing, it's just there every day. Um, with our clients, when we send her somewhere, I'm always a little bit nervous because she's so spectacular that whoever follows her up, really has a high bar that they have to jump over, or even just to kind of keep the same level of companionship and camaraderie with our clients. So she's a difficult act to follow. I will say this too, just as a note, Janelle has family that was down in the Caribbean and was affected by the hurricane. Thank God everybody is safe and doing great. However, during that time frame, I don't know how she did it as a mom, but she didn't miss a beat with work and everything. So she's just a special person. We could count on her. She's the one that we're all right. Goodness gracious, we had a last minute call out. Can you get there in 15 minutes? And she's like, I'll be there in 20. That's the best I can do. So she's just a special person. No other way to say it
Yeah.
about you.
I think one of the things that, in that video, which was a tremendous video, I love the way that you spotlighted her and your team, and that was amazing. But one of the things Janelle mentioned in that video was the relationship, and I'm paraphrasing, but the relationship she has, with your team and with you as a leader, and she made a reference to, if I'm sick or whatever, or an emergency comes up, you take the call, and it's not about, you trying to manipulate them, if you will, and just taking a shift. She made it a point to talk about your care for her. Where does that start that is so vital to building a team with trust and great people?
Yeah, right. That's our business is caring for people. And believe it or not, I kind of call it caring for the caregiver.
Mm.
And I won't take credit for it completely. It certainly, as the owner of the company here, I try to set the tone with it. But Riva is outstanding with just making sure that they know we appreciate what they're doing. And we know what they're doing is difficult sometimes. I mean, I always say to our caregivers in our orientation, caregiving can be the greatest job in the world, and it can be the hardest job in the world. And so your job is to go make it the best you can, but it's just treating everybody with respect. It's that simple. That's everybody wants respect. Our caregivers want respect, and I always say it's a two-way street. They treat us with respect. We treat them with respect. It's that simple. And Janelle's a perfect example of how when you bring her attitude and her work ethic and her dedication to our clients to the table, how we as an organization go out of our way to make sure that she's taken care of. Unfortunately, a couple of months ago, she had her car stolen. We're like, oh my gosh, he had a really nice car too. And she's like, hey, can I get a loan? Can I get a thing on the thing to get a new car so I can go to work? And I was like, absolutely, Janelle. We take care of you, you take care of us. So
Yeah.
no better example of that than Janelle Beavis.
Yeah. Dan, sometimes I think we get so caught up in leadership and like getting in the nuances, and leadership is clearly very important. I probably just like yourself and certainly our organization, we believe everything rises and falls on leadership. And but we get into these nuances and doing these things in terms of leadership, but sometimes leadership is really about just meeting people where they are, being empathetic, listening, and clearly you've done a phenomenal job of that. And man, I'm just excited about your team, and Janelle. Congrats again from all of us Janelle. What a rock star, man. You're motivating people throughout the country. And by the way, if there's anyone in the Chester County area who desires to make a profound difference in their career, listen, call Dan Wilson, get in touch with Riva. I know we're always hiring and we're looking for more Janelles, right?
Absolutely. And I want to be clear, Glenn, just to kind of expand on that a little bit. We're very, very blessed to have a great core of good caregivers. We do a caregiver of the month. So we've got 12 caregivers of the month every year. And I'll be honest with you and tell you that Janelle is a shining star in that piece. But there's another layer of just fantastic caregivers here that we're just blessed that probably could have been nominated for. Not gonna lie, some of them are just fantastic. And so, I want to make sure kudos to all of those other caregivers that are here. I kind of hinted at it at the end of the video about how much I appreciate all of our caregivers. And so I want to give them a shout out as well, because there's just a bunch of rock stars here.
Yeah, definitely. And, dovetailing off of that, when you came up to accept the award, just for everyone there, we weren't filming it, but, you made that point abundantly clear. And it is about the team. And, a lot, at the end of the day, we can't win championships without a team, right? And so it's about everybody. And Janelle, thanks for raising the bar. Dan, thank you for your leadership. But for those other folks that maybe were just, you know, whatever the case may be, right there and want to go to the next career, hey, you're in a great spot and continuing to grow, continue to grow, continue to build. You're part of a great organization.
Yep.
Yeah. Speaking of great organizations, Dan, how long have you been with Touching Hearts?
Yeah.
Tell me about how you got here. Why did you come here? Uh, I'd love to hear.
Let's see. We're coming up on 11 years in May, so it's November 4th. Apologize for the beard. I'm 4 days into no shave November. Coming up on 11 years. I started this business. I was at a point in my life. I had been let go from a company. I just kind of said, you know what, I'm going to do something different. Worked for, as an employee for 30 years, 25 years, whatever the math is on that. And just decided that it was time to do something different and looked at a bunch of different things. I'm a technology guy. I have a degree in computer science from Rochester Institute of Technology. So probably not the normal path you would think of how you get to where I am.
Right.
I started a little technology company, dabbled with that or whatever. Ended up having to search for care for my father in upstate New York. He was in an absolutely horrible accident. He actually died in the helicopter when they were able to revive him, get enough blood back into him. I'm from a very rural part of upstate New York, about 45 miles west of Albany, a little town called Cobuskill. And we were trying to find care for him, have somebody come in and just kind of help. My mom was similar age and everything. And that was really the main motivation behind calling around trying to get different agencies. Well, I called Mark McDermott up in Rochester, which is 3.5 hours away, with just like, hey, can you point me in the right direction with this stuff? And I ended up talking to the corporate folks with Touching Hearts at Home, and ultimately couldn't get care for my dad through Touching Hearts at Home. Ended up being able to find private caregivers in the area who did a fantastic job, by the way. If they're listening, thank you.
That's awesome.
We decided that that's the direction we'd go. Then the sales guy at the time, I don't know, we must have struck up a conversation, called me back about a month later and just kind of said, hey, conversation, you're the kind of person we're looking for to do, to become an owner of this kind of stuff. And combination of, locations and all that kind of stuff. We went through the process. I had the opportunity to meet Renee Peterson. Anybody who gets the opportunity to meet Renee Peterson, you'll instantly fall in love with her. Just the nicest, kindest lady that you ever met. I really liked their approach here at Touching Hearts at Home. I talked to a couple of different home care agencies, organizations, and not to put them down or whatever, but Renee really put service to the community first, which is one of those things that was close to my heart. I wasn't a veteran. I'm not a veteran, but a lot of my family was, and that idea of service to the community was one of the things that were there. So that's kind of the story. My dad getting in an accident, I probably wouldn't have been in this business if it wasn't for that. Um, but and then meeting Renee, still communicate with Renee occasionally. Yeah, that's how we got started with it.
No, thank you for sharing that. And golly, I'm obviously we weren't able, when I say we, Touching Hearts at Home, uh, you had to get private caregivers, I'm
Yeah.
assuming because we weren't in the area.
Yeah, there was no Touching Heart. The nearest Touching Hearts, I think they had just started the Syracuse location, which is still 2 hours away.
Yeah,
So I mean, it was just so that's why there was no, we couldn't, there wasn't any caregiving that would
right.
come out that far. We were just too far from, the centers of population to be able to get a caregiver for them. The Renee.
Sure. And so you mentioned our founder, Renee Peterson. Um, Take a second and tell us, because I've only met her once, okay?
Mm,
I've heard 1,000 stories about her, but I believe in honor, and I believe that none of us would be sitting here today without
yep.
her vision. And can you just share maybe a story or anything you would like to share about Renee? I think that would be impactful.
Oh, well, if you say that, first of all, I want to say I understand we 80 franchise owners of Touching Hearts at Home. Those are 80 people that can thank Renee for starting this business when she did 15 years ago and just bringing the right attitude to the table. So thank you, first of all, on that piece of it. Um, the first story I think of is drinking martinis with her at the W in downtown Minneapolis. And let's just say that I'm a 6'2", 260 pound man, and she might be 6 or 5 foot and 100 pounds soaking wet. The combination didn't really work well after the second martini. I ended up kind of helping carrying her back is the best way that I can say it. But my point is that that was my first year there. And she made it a point to come over and say, Dan Wilson, what do you like? I'm going to have a martini with you. That's what you want. We're going to have a martini. And she sat there and she talked to me about her kids and about this and about starting the business. And it was just a great conversation. And it just the most wonderful person truly the most wonderful person I've ever met in my life.
Yeah, it's hard to put a finger on it. I mean, you hear all these stories, and then I remember, the time that she visited us in the office. We were having a training. We had 7 new franchisees there that were in training. It was a hectic week. Obviously, when she came in, we stopped training, and everybody wanted to get to meet her and touch her. And, it's hard to put a finger on it, but some people in life just have that it factor, right?
Hmm.
Like when they walk in a room, they're there. They don't have to say anything. It's just their presence. And for me, that was one of the things that really stuck out to me about Renee.
Yeah.
Uh, she was so engaging and
Hmm.
she has that it factor.
Hmm.
I don't know where that maybe, the it factor is just a gift from God, okay? But
Yep.
either you have it or you don't. And truly a gift. And she definitely has it.
Yep.
And she's just it's easy to see her heart, uh,
Hmm.
even when she's not talking about herself or her company. It's truly amazing. But
Yep.
so
I'm blessed to know her.
yes, likewise. And then her sons, right, who work in the
Right.
business every single day. And I often tell folks, that sometimes I wish we had a camera in our offices and in our meetings because the caring concern that all of us have, but those two, I call them the brothers, and the brothers, every time they ask a question or give us or provide a statement or a thought, truly, it's always about the franchisee. Like, they remind us of our rich history. They always bring it back to the franchisee. And I love that. And
Yeah.
man, just what a great culture.
Yep. Yep.
Yeah. I don't, I mean, it's just like sometimes you get tired of talking about it, but this is what we're living in.
Nope. No, I agree. I would be remiss though if I did not throw in here Ryan is a very good Ryan and Andrew.
Yeah.
Ryan is a very good golfer. And we make it a point when we go to different things to golf, myself and Dave Woolman, another one of the owners, to golf with Ryan. And in the 10 years that we've been doing this, Ryan still hasn't beaten Dave. So
Oh, wow.
Ryan will appreciate me putting that comment in there. So make
Well,
sure he sees this.
oh, he'll see it, and I will definitely make sure uh, he hears this quote, and I will put
Yeah,
it in
yeah, he'll
quote.
appreciate
Yeah.
it.
Man, speaking of Dave, love connecting with Dave too. He's a character, man.
Right?
Anyway,
The Pierce
uh,
Brosnan of Touching Hearts at Home.
yeah, yeah. So, we're just coming off the conference, as I briefly mentioned, and talking about Janelle, but what was I'm always curious, what was your experience like? What could we have done better? What did we do well? How can we improve on our conference? And why should new people come? Do you think it's valuable for them?
Yeah, yeah. Let's see. I think first of all, just this year had just had a great energy. Being in Nashville was wonderful. I think a lot of people were excited about that, but it was well attended. And it was great to see all the new franchisees there, or I should say most of them, right? Um, that's just exciting to see them come and participate in the things and have an opportunity to sit there. There's nothing, I don't think, I remember my first time there and the experience of meeting some of these experienced business owners and having the opportunity to sit down and chat with them was vital. I mentioned Dave Woolman. Dave's been my mentor. He's about a year in front of me here in Pennsylvania. And so we share a lot of things in terms of the way we have to do business or the way we choose to do business as well. And we're actually part owners together in our Delaware County location here. So he has Bucks County, I have Chester, and together we own Delaware County here in Pennsylvania. Back to your topic, though, just great energy. And that's the biggest thing. I think, if there was one negative, and Caitlin's going to kill me for saying this, but the lighting on stage for pictures was terrible.
Yeah.
It was such a shame because it was such a great event, and then just the pictures came out not that good. So sorry, Caitlin, it wasn't your fault, but next year we'll get that straight, right? Other than that, absolutely fantastic meeting. I had the opportunity to sit at the table during one of our group discussions with a couple of the new people from Florida,
Yeah.
and just to see their passion again and their excitement about getting started. That energized me because it made me stop and think about what did I have to do 10 years ago?
Wow.
What was I thinking about? I mean, it's been long enough that I don't think about that stuff, right?
Yeah.
What comes first? Do I get caregivers or do I get clients? And how do I this and the licensing with the state and insurance and all those things that you don't always think of, especially as a first-time business owner. You just don't think about all those things. So that was really the thing that I like. So, praise to you and your team, Felicia, and everybody at Touching Hearts at Home for keeping that engine going. I think that's the lifeblood of Touching Hearts is we keep it coming, keep it growing, get more energy and more people into it. It's going to be great. I think we had a lot of fun, right?
Yeah.
I got a couple stories in my head that I can't tell.
Yeah.
She off a bald guy's head, that kind of stuff. But might be inappropriate for this conversation. But we went. It's like I did the bike bar thing. I don't know what they're called. That was fun and just a great. I just love everybody there. I can honestly say this: there's not a single person at Touching Hearts at Home that I don't feel comfortable not calling, and not calling. I feel like I can call anybody,
Sure.
right? I sit down and have a conversation with anybody, and they're willing to do it. and I sit and have a drink with anybody and chat about personal stuff. It's just a great organization. So I hope
Yeah,
that
no,
answers your question.
yeah, no, you did, and it certainly is, and something so special. And our CEO Todd Tremmell, told me, he said, Glenn, I've been doing this. I've been in franchising for 20 years, and he said, Glenn, the network that we have, these people are special. He said they all want to grow. They want to see our brand take off. And you hear that, but then almost a year now into it, and getting to do this and connect with people and being at the conference and regionals, man, I agree with you. It's like everybody that I talk to, it's like, man, let's go have a drink. Let's go do this. Let's go do that. Let's talk about difficult things, whatever the case may be. But there's this unity that is unbreakable. And I just believe that anything is possible in a spirit of unity. And that's a credit. I always say this, that started and continues on with Renee. And obviously,
Yeah.
the leadership that we have now, that it totally embraces that, Todd and the brothers and our whole team, and the great owners that we have that are just saying, man, I'm willing. I want to see this grow. Yeah, like you talk about Mike and David in Florida and just being energized by them. It's just beautiful to see. It's not about me. It's not about one person. It's about all of us just like pulling on the same side of the rope. And that gets me so fired up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yep. Just good stuff. All good
So,
stuff.
yeah. So tell me, this has been amazing, this conversation so far, but I always like to get into everyone can see that we're in a great industry, with a lot of um, tailwind, as they say, right? I
Hmm.
believe that's the right analogy.
Yeah.
But what are some of the things that concern you at this stage, at this time, that is on your radar for your business that you feel like we need to address or attack?
Yeah. Well, I mean, the constant issue is caregivers, getting good caregivers. As it, my, I could quote check my numbers on this, but I think the population over 65 is expected to double in the next 10 years. Unfortunately, the ages that are coming up behind that is there's a decrease. My wife works in higher ed, and they speak of the cliff, which is the number of eligible people coming out of high school and available to go to college is just decreasing. And so it's a struggle for them to attract people, right? That's going to affect us, right? There's just going to be less and less people to be caregivers, right? So that leads me directly to, I think, the next challenge that we have, and that's the adoption of technology.
Mhm.
There's lots and lots of things that are out there on the horizon, and actually things available today, like like your wristbands, like the
Yeah.
people have the watches. They detect falls and motion and keep track of it. Hey, is this person in their normal routine? There's AI listening devices that you can um, they're listening in there for signs of distress or signs of confusion or and that kind of stuff. So there's a lot of these different things that are coming to the market that as the end of the boomers and the beginning of Gen X. I was born in 65, right? So I always put myself in that border of those things. There's things about that technology that scare me a little bit from a privacy perspective, but at the end of the day, I think you balance this against people's wishes to live independently and safely.
Yeah.
That adoption of those different technologies appropriately adopted,
Sure.
I think is the single biggest challenge. Well, I take that behind caregivers, the
Yeah.
single biggest challenge that we have, because I think there's always going to be that personal touch that's required. But I see AI and these devices and this technology augmenting that and taking a role that's going to allow us to provide the right level and the right amount of care for someone and supplement that care with this other stuff that's going to help people when we're not there,
Yeah.
right? And so that adoption, that I feel like we're still kind of in the early adopter stage of it, showing my technology piece there a little bit.
Mhm.
But there's a lot of people doing a lot of interesting things with it, and so I'm very interested to see how it goes, where it ends up, and how I know there are people in Touching Hearts franchisees that have adopted some of this technology. And I'm kind of I'm a little bit of a technology laggard. I'm kind of waiting to see where it goes.
Yeah.
What does it bring to the table for them? How effective it is for the client, how effective it is for the family in terms of their ability to maintain um, a connection. This isn't the right terminology for it, but the knowledge about what's going on with their adult loved one.
Sure.
That, I mean, that's the biggest problem that we have. I'll tell you that of our clients, probably 50% of them, the nearest family member lives over an hour and a half away,
Yeah.
right? So it's just, that connection, a phone call, Zoom can be a challenge for some people. We do have some people that Zoom, but sometimes that's just not enough. So,
No, you're right.
yeah, I think those are the two things I would point to right away, Glenn, that I see.
Yeah, I mean, just to, think about that and the very real challenges that those things provide to us is the reality is, and I learned this at the conference, for the first time, I believe, in American history, we will have more people that are 65 and older as opposed to 18 and under.
Right,
Okay. And so clearly that creates some challenges in and of themselves. You couple that with, listen, people desire to live in their own home and age independently.
right,
That's a
right.
fact, right? They've made
Absolutely.
that abundantly clear.
Yep.
And so, from our heart, it's okay, how can we meet the need? How can we serve people in the fourth quarter of their life? And I'll give Todd a tremendous amount of credit for this. He really this has been on the forefront, weaving in technology and so forth and using all the tools. This has been something that has been on the forefront of his mind and really beta testing a lot of things.
Hmm.
Uh, but just to make sure, with the spirit being, we want to serve these folks the best possible and the most efficient way we can, and and obviously that's very, very important. It's what we do.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, can you share just a tad on uh, how go back to the middle stages? Your business is launched. You mentioned Riva. Like,
Yes.
how long has Riva been with you, and what role does she play?
Riva's been with us for about 2 years now. She started with us in human resources, primarily recruiting, and keeping me straight. My one blind spot is HR.
Yeah,
And so I shouldn't say my one blind spot, but one that I know of.
yeah,
And she then moved over and she's now our scheduler slash care coordinator. We're a relatively small office. There's really just myself, Riva, and then Malik, my marketing specialist, who goes out and connects with the community. But Riva's the heart and lungs of Touching Hearts here. She's the one who answers the phone call when somebody's calling and got a problem. She's the one that updates the schedule, and she's the one that calls Janelle and asks, "Hey, we just had a last minute call out. Can you go?" and that kind of stuff.
yeah,
She does that 99.9% of the time. She does a great job with it. It's a challenge because it's very rarely smooth, but she I have to talk her off the edge every once in a while, but she, just like myself every once in a while
right.
with things because it's just constant of there's always something moving, good stuff, bad stuff, day-to-day stuff. And so, it's an active job for her, and she does a great job with it.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Well, Dan, I got to tell you, we happen to sit at the same table. I like to sit in the back and just observe and
Me
whatever
too. That
take.
way nobody sees my bald spot on the back of my head. And I tend to block the view of people. So I like to sit in the back as well.
Right. And so, I appreciate the fact that I enjoyed sitting with you and just connecting with you and learning a little bit of your sense of humor. I love your competitive nature. And I guess the last question that I'll ask is, you mentioned Ryan Longstrom has never beaten Dave Woolman in golf, which we want to make that abundantly clear.
Yes,
Um,
yes.
have you, my friend?
I'm talking like 15 attempts too. Sorry, Ryan.
Okay, wow. So he's 0 and 15. Dave is
Yeah.
15 and 0. I
Dave
gotta
plays
ask.
mind game. Dave plays mind games with him. That's what the problem is. He gets in his head. The young kids these days, they
Yeah,
go ahead. Sorry
yeah.
for distracting you.
No, you're good. I love it. I mean, listen, we got to train these kids to be mentally tough, right?
Right?
Yeah. So my last question is, have you ever beaten our friend Dave Woolman?
Oh, man. No, Dave's a significantly better golfer than I am. Although I will mention that the last time that we played, he had a particularly bad round, and I missed him by a couple of strokes. It was probably my one and only opportunity to beat him, and I blew it as well. So that wasn't about mental toughness. That was just about golfing skills. So
Correct. Right.
yeah, that
Let's
was
make
just
that
golfing
clear.
skills,
Yeah.
and yeah, it was a fun day. As a matter of fact, it was the day that we settled on the Delaware County location. We went and had a little celebration and
Oh,
almost beat them.
I love it. Well, Dan, I just want to thank you for your time. Thank you for uh, the way that you lead. Thank you for your voice. Thank you for your enthusiasm. And I mean that with all sincerity. Thank you that you understand, and it probably comes from your days of living in the trenches of it as an offensive lineman and defensive end, causing havoc, blocking a punt and breaking your arm, I believe.
Fingers,
Um,
fingers.
Fingers, okay, yeah.
Yep.
And but I just want to say you're a special individual. I look forward to the time when I see you again, which will, if nothing else, will be at the next conference, if not before. But
Yep.
man, let's just continue to have fun. Let's just continue to be the best we can in providing care. And thank you for being an instrumental part of everything that we do at Touching Hearts at Home. I want to thank you. Any final thoughts from you?
No, I think, I was a little nervous and a little excited to participate in this with you. This is my first time on a podcast. And it's been a fantastic time. I appreciate your energy. It's always fun to engage with somebody who's excited and wants to have fun and doesn't mind a little bit of jokes and that kind of stuff. And so it's been a great experience. I appreciate you inviting me. Glad to participate. I just can't, I'll just end it on this. I can't say enough good things about the people at Touching Hearts at Home. It's literally the nicest organization. You mentioned football, right? If I had to go back in my life, I'm 60 years old now, well past my old high school glory days of playing football. Unfortunately, I get bad back and a bad neck thanks to it. But being a part of that football team was one of those things that I go back and look at it. It wasn't necessarily about the football. It was about being a part of just 11 guys on one side of the football going in the same direction with the same goal and that kind of stuff. That's how I feel about Touching Hearts at Home.
Yeah,
They're not, I wish they were all here in the office with me right now. It's just great energy and that kind of stuff. But it's not. So, but that's what we do here. We're trying to build our own football team here,
yeah,
get the right blockers, the right tacklers, the right receivers, got Reva at quarterback.
yeah,
And we're just having fun with it and working hard at it. So
yeah. Awesome. And you're doing a hell of a job by all accounts. Funny thing is, talking about the team mentality. and I know you know this, but I'll just share this for the folks at home that may not. You know, whether you're a male or female, being a part of a team, whether you played in middle school, high school, college, or in some cases professional, being in that locker room, okay? And it's not about race. It's not about what side of the tracks you came from. It's not about what religion you are. It's not about, what status your parents have. It's about a group of people coming together, being unified with the idea of we're going to find a damn way to win, right?
Yep.
And those connections, I hear the same thing about the military, how I didn't serve in the military. I got a ton of, just like yourself, a ton of damn respect for all of those male and females that do. Um, but it's about, to this day, and those bonds are so special. It's funny, and I think you'll appreciate this. To this day, we've got 15 of our high school buddies that we all play football together, and we're in a fantasy football league together. And we get together once a year, and we're on the WhatsApp texting every day. And it's just about, man, we shared something special together in a moment of time, and we're lifelong friends.
Yeah.
And I just sense that's what we're building here.
Yeah.
Like a lot of that. And
Yep.
it's special. And well, Dan, thank you so much. You are incredible. I can't wait for this to air. My name is Glenn Leingang with another conversation from the heart with our friend, a great owner from Chester County, Pennsylvania. Come on, somebody, Dan Wilson. Thank you so much.
Thank you. I feel like I should give a Ric Flair woo.
I would love, if nothing else, let's end it. Give us one Ric Flair, brother.
All right. This is for Brian Johnson in Nashville. I can't help it because I'm so good looking. I'm a limo riding, jet plane riding wild man.
Woohoo!
Woo!